Hello everyone, I'm Robert Hisee. Most of you will know me, but for you that don't, I'm the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And welcome to the MindKite podcast. Hello everyone, welcome to the MindKite podcast. I'm Robert Hisee, the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And we have an amazing, very special guest today, Mr. Alan McGee. You know, he's known for finding the legendary band, the cult following band of Oasis, and, you know, bands like Primal Scream. He's an absolute fucking legend from the 90s. If you know, you know. So, Alan, I appreciate your time and thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I really
All right, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Good. Just getting over COVID and a bit of pneumonia, but I'm all sweet now.
Oh, shit. Did you have it?
Yeah, it's badly. Just my voice is gone at the minute.
Yeah, I can hear it, mate.
Yeah, so what I'd like to know is how did it all start for you, like the music scene? I mean, what was it like for you growing up in Glasgow? You from the South Glasgow, are you, or East Glasgow?
I'm from the south side, man. I was born in Govan Hill, and after about 5 years or something, I was moved up to a place called Mount Florida. That sounds posh, but it wasn't really, to be honest.
What's it like in South Glasgow growing up? I'm from South London. I mean,
it was all right. I mean, I think it's rougher now, to be absolutely honest. Yeah, I mean, like Govan Hill now is a bit of a no-go zone now, but back when I was like, I barely remember it. You know, I mean, I moved when I was 5, but it wasn't that bad. And then Mount Florida was all right. It was just working class. And then when I was about 16, I left home anyway. Do you know what I mean? You know, and then I've never went back. You know what I mean? I've been out and doing my own fucking thing for years. You know.
What did you do?
And I obviously, you know, I mean, you're not going to go and live with your mum and dad at 60.
So what did you do at 16? How did you get into the music game? I mean, how did that?
It was a kind of fluke, really. Well, it wasn't a fluke. That's the wrong way to do it. But I never thought I was going to be able to do the music thing. But punk happened. I mean, I was a glam fan, and then I was just a fan. I was going to the gigs from about the age of 10 or something. And then the punk thing happened when I was about 15, and I got into that. And I suppose the gateway thing for that was that whereas with the glam thing and everything, you had to be able to play really well to be in any of these bands, or like, you know, the prog thing that was happening, or Eric Clapton, or that was all complicated. But to play Ramones songs, you know, any spunker could do it, man. And you know, and I realised, I can actually fucking play Sheena as a punk rocker, and I don't care, and swallow my pride. So I kind of was emboldened by that, and I decided to, you know, start a band. But I joined this guy who had advertised in Radio Clyde, the Brian Ford show, and this was the guitar player in Primal Scream before. He was only 14, Andrew Innes.
You knew him back then, yeah?
Yeah. I was very friendly with Bobby. You know, I'd taken him to his first gig, Thin Lizzy. I'm about 9 months older than Bob. So when we were about 14 and 13, I'd went to see Thin Lizzy. But when I got to about 15, 16, I was in a punk band, and I joined Andrew Innes's punk band, who I kind of vaguely knew. And you know, that was it, man. You know, we were like, you know, Bobby became the singer, and we never did any shows or anything, but we were like a bedroom punk band, and that was really what it was about. You know, I mean, that was like, we were like, but I bought a £40 bass that, you know, you remember you could buy a bass and you pay it off and hire purchase £1.20 or something a week, and I was paying off the fucking bass, or like paying it whatever it is a month, you know.
That's brilliant now. And then, so how did it go from the band into like, you know, band management and the Creation Records? I mean,
well, that was a longer thing that happened. It was like, how that happened was that I was in a band, and we came down to London to become punk pop stars, me and Andrew for the Primals. We were in this band. We had moved on, and we were now called the Laughing Apple. And we came down, and we did some punk singles, or post-punk singles. But around the same time, I started this club called The Living Room. And I started putting on all these little bands that nobody would ever like book. like the Membranes, the Television Personalities, the Three Johns, the Mekons, and then, you know, all my crew of bands like the Jesus and Mary Chain, Primal Scream, the Loft. None of these groups were famous at the time. Jasmine Minx, and a scene kind of emerged out of that club. You know, that little night, and that little night became 3 nights. That was a scene in London in about 1983, 84, and it became a thing. And then suddenly I realised, oh, you know, maybe I'm an entrepreneur. I put out this band, the Jesus and Mary Chains record, and it blew up, sold 50,000 singles. And then the majors were trying to sign it. You know, nobody wanted to manage them, so I started managing my pal's band. I did all right. I got them a publishing deal. Then I went and got them a record deal. So suddenly I was like, oh, that was pretty fucking easy money. Do you know what I mean? I did a publishing deal for 40 grand and made myself $8 grand, and then I'd done a record deal for 75 grand and made myself 15 grand. And suddenly I was like,
in 1983. That's big.
Yeah, I was 20. I was 22. Yeah, so I was like, oh, yeah, I know. So I was like, oh,
right.
I was like, but yeah, I mean, because I'd worked in building sites and terrible jobs, so I knew what hard money was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you had to really graft and do shit jobs to get fucking £50 a week or whatever it was. And I was running a club making £600-700 a week, and sometimes £800 a week. And then I was like managing this band, I was making thousands. And it's like suddenly I was like, fuck, I'm kind of good at this. And I wasn't good in the beginning. I was good at doing the deals, I think, but I didn't have I didn't know how to manage anybody. But I grew into it. And after 2 or 3 years, I kind of was a manager, you know.
I mean, as you're speaking, there's so many things going through my nut that I want to ask you.
Oh, you go, man.
Because I've watched that Supersonic. My boys love Oasis now. And around that age, I used to be in a band in the 90s and all that. So
what band were you in?
I was in a band called The Sound. It wasn't a mod. It was a mod. It wasn't. There's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Called The Sound. Yeah. A little mod band. It was an indie band. I'd all my hair done indie. Obviously, I was in such. But every band I knew wanted to know Alan McGee. Like everyone wanted to. The internet back then was there. There was no way of getting you, but everyone would like. The word was every band I knew was about McGee. McGee's the man because you know Oasis. But I was watching that. I was watching that the other day. I was watching. I see about 3 times that Supersonic documentary on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I believe your punk era, like the year you've got for punk, I truly believe was what made Oasis, because I see that documentary when you've got that good engineer and they done the album and it was shit. Like the shit album, it was the producing was like, it sounded like a fucking demo. And you was like, fuck this. Get the engineer off the fucking nobody. You was doing we need to get that live sound, get him in. And then you got this geezer and you weren't happy with the sound, you weren't tolerating it, and you put that punky like guitar, big wall, and the difference of the 2 mixes was fucking phenomenal. And then
that wasn't really me, man. It was like that was Owen Morris, the producer, and he was brilliant. I mean, we were struggling. I knew it was wrong, but how we made that record was we'd recorded it.
Could have been you made there could have changed the history of of the fucking
but I changed the history of my own life for that decision, mate, because they blew up. But it was like we went with Noel's idea, which was basically personal loyalty to this guy, Dave Batchelor, that had toured within Spiral Carpets. We let him do it. It was like we spunked 50 grand. And at that point, 50 grand to us was fortune, right? And we were like, fuck, what the fuck do we do? And went and borrowed more money and put them in the studio with Coyley, the live guy, and he recorded it brilliantly. And we're thinking, fuck, it's going to be amazing. Coyley, go in the studio and mix it, and he couldn't mix it, right? Because he just didn't, no offence to Mark, he just didn't have the skills. You know what I mean? Could record, he could record it.
But he couldn't.
He couldn't mix it. So at that point, I think we put a few different people in, and we couldn't fucking mix it. And I'd forgotten this years ago. It was until I met, John Leckie, Radiohead's producer, and
yeah,
all these massive bands. I'd actually he went. Do you remember you asked me to? We were going to scrap the album and get John Leckie to re-record it. He did the Stone Roses, right? John did the first Roses album, and we were going to get John to do it, and John turned us down. And then Owen Morris, who was friends with Marcus Russell, who's I've never been the Oasis manager. I was the record company and their publisher, right?
Yeah.
But Marcus, who was their manager, Marcus Russell, he worked through because he managed Johnny Marr and Bernard Sumner. He worked with Owen Morris, who was a kid, and Owen, or a young man, not a kid, maybe about 30. But he went in and he mixed Rock and Roll Star as the mix you now know, and we all went, "Fucking hell, he's done it! That's the mix." And that was it. That was it.
Sounds unreal, isn't it? That guitar sound.
Yeah,
it's big. It's like a war sound.
Yeah, so that's how it really happened. But I mean, like you know, I played my part. But at the end of the day, that whole Oasis thing, much bigger than Creation or me. It was everything. It was all the parts were right. They were a great band.
Can I ask you, when you? Yeah. I'm not into visualization, the mind, and all that stuff, and the creation is a big thing for me. Like through using like visualization. When you first see Oasis, what was like the thing in your mind? Like when you first walked out and you see Liam on stage, and you're in this little fucking bar in Scotland, and these Manx are in there. I mean, what went through your head when you heard them?
I'd ran into them downstairs, and they were just typical moody Manx, really, to be honest. And one of them was really good looking, which is obviously Liam.
Yeah.
Then they came on, and I just thought, fuck it, I'll just go and watch them, because there'd nearly been a punch up. It was all like, you know what it's like, and it was all intimidation. We're playing and all that bollocks, you know what I mean? So I went on up the stairs just to see what the fuck was going to happen, probably being a nosy Glaswegian bastard. And I went up, and they were playing Rock and Roll Star, and I was like, fuck me, that's good. And then I think they went into Up in the Sky, and I was like, fuck me, maybe I'll sign them. And then they went in to Bring It On Down. I went, fuck me, I'm going to sign them, right? And then Liam goes, oh, we're going to fucking do, I Am the Walrus, or whatever Liam says. And I was like, oh, fuck, it's going to be shit. Because around that time, all the bands around that time did shit fucking Beatles covers. And I just thought, it's going to be rubbish. It was brilliant, and at that point, I was like, "Oh fuck, I'll sign you." And that's how that's all I really did. I just fucking saw it and believed it. I didn't think, "Oh, I'm going to sell 65 million records," which they did sell for me, right? I didn't think that. I just thought they're a fucking good band. But I had loads of good bands. I had Primal Scream, I had the Valentines, and the Fan Club. So we had loads of good records out. But it was like when I was watching them, I didn't think it was going to be any better or worse than any of the other ones I had. I just thought it was another good one.
Another little good band. And how did you, how is it like that industry on it? Because not being like the owner of a fucking big label like that, that you, as you said, you probably didn't think it was going to go that big. But how was it mentally having that pressure going from like a kid from fucking Glasgow playing bass in a bedroom to, one of the most important metal company of that sort of, of that era, of that underground.
Well, there's a lot of that that's amazing. You get the respect. A bit what you just said there about, in the 90s, if you were a rock and roll band, there was only one person to try and get that. So that's amazing. Don't get me wrong, that's fucking amazing. You could have that all day long. A lot of it, you're right, man, though. It was a lot of pressure because the way that I was brought up, it wasn't from a business background. And my family, well, like my father was a panel beater, alcoholic, but a panel beater. My mother was a shop assistant. So there was no business acumen in my fucking family. And as it got more and more and more huge and acute, if you want to call it that, right, and more sharper, and it was very, very difficult, to fucking, it was all just seriously fucking hard work at a certain point, but it was brilliant as well, but it became, I'd say that, but the end of that, I was kind of quite, it got to me, you know what I mean? It would get to anybody anyway, do you know what I mean?
Because you ran all that scene with fucking drugs out all the time. Did it ever like take you out of the game for a bit? Did you ever get to a point where?
Oh yeah, but that was before Oasis, mate. I mean, I was taking drugs for the early 80s. You know what I mean? I was like a monster. Now, by the time I got to Oasis, I was clean from about early '94. So most of they only knew me as a fucking full-on lunatic for about a year 9 months before I cleaned up. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
No, I don't. I'd say it was just the pressure on me towards the end of that decade. It was a lot. It was a lot of people. There was a lot of deadlines and people screaming at each other, and I was doing a lot of the screaming. To be honest, it was a heavy gig, and eventually, I'm not sure I did do the right thing breaking it at that point at the end of the '90s, but it is what it is,
It's life, isn't it? We do these things sometimes, is what it is.
I think, to be honest, I was finding the pressure of that difficult. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, I wasn't from that background of business, and neither was anybody else that was in control. You know what I mean?
And how did you feel when you got rid of it? And how did Sony buy it off you? Was that?
Yeah. Sony bought it, and business-wise, I should have hung on to it, I suppose, but. I did well. I did well out it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I made a lot of money, but it's like, it's a difficult time, man. I mean, the pressure towards the end of it was a lot.
And what do you feel? Once that '90s was gone, to me, that whole fucking music scene went to pot. It was like, that Britpop era was pretty cool. It was a good era.
Yeah. I think that was good, but then the noughties was good as well, man. The Libertines and all that scene, Arctic Monkeys, that was good as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the '90s. Love them, man. I just love all the indies, the Stone Roses, the Charlatans.
Yeah, man.
I love them. Still now I could listen to it all day. But so what did you do after that, Al? How did you like go from being the fucking, the rock legend to sort of chilling? Did you just chill out for a bit? Did you fuck off abroad? I mean, what did you get your?
I started managing the Libertines.
You managed the Libertines? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I made them famous. Yeah. So that was it. I was managing a few bands. I was managing Charlotte, but I was managing.
I thought you sat down for a little bit.
No. I went and started, became a big manager after that. It was like Libertines, Charlatans, Mogwai, Mew.
Managed the Charlatans as well, yeah. Fucking
the Hives. That band, the Hives, I had them as well. And then it got to about the end of that decade, about 2008, and I went. My daughter was 7 or 8, and I took her to Wales and brought her up, which was great.
Oh, nice.
And then it was 5 years, and then what happened is that I wrote a book, and then that did quite well, and I kind of started coming back up to London. My daughter was by 13, was her own thing by that point, wanting to go to school herself, and you don't want your old man taking you to school at 13, really, do you? It just that was the way it kind of developed,
Brilliant. That's mate. So, and then now
I'm back managing a few people, Sean and stuff like that,
Yeah, brilliant, mate. I love the Mondays. They're fucking brilliant. Absolutely. My favourite band. They were them in the Roses. I say the first track. In the Fool's Gold, and then the Mondays come out, and that was me. That was done. Pills, Fills, and Belly. I don't think I've heard a better album name than that. Can you think of one? Pills, Fills, and Bellyaches. It's fucking brilliant.
It's good.
So, throughout the years, when you go through looking at the similarities, I mean, like, is it, like we're like lead singers and stuff, yeah? Is it like, do they have any similar traits? So if you look at people like Liam, Tim Burgess, to me, they're like completely chalk and cheese, but performing, they're both fucking amazing. Like, is Tim Burgess, he comes across more introvert. Am I wrong by saying that? I don't know. I've only seen him on interviews, but he wasn't what I thought he was going to be. Like, when you see him on stage, he's bowling about, and the videos. Yeah. When I heard about his mouth, he seems quite like an introverted guy, and like quite a deep.
I mean, they're all their own people. These guys, it's bands, isn't it? I mean, you've been in a band yourself. You know what it's like. The individuals are like peculiar to themselves.
In my experience, what do you think? drummers cause the fucking aggro. They think they're musicians.
Well, I mean,
I go to you're not a fucking musician. You're a fucking drummer.
Yeah, but if you don't have a good drummer, you don't have a good band. But
True,
I'm
mate.
not sure. I'm not sure people want. I'm not sure people want bands anymore, mate. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's what breaks my fucking heart. You know what I mean? It's mad seeing that here in the computer technology taking over too much, and people don't play instruments; they sample them, and you know. But you know what? It might flip its lid. You know, look at the '60s to Oasis. You know, to the Beatles, to them. Hopefully, I'm hoping for it to break through again. But you never know,
mate.
So, what's the plans for the future, Al? What have we got going? What's going on? Anything?
I just think, well, yeah. I mean, I've just put that film out, the Danny Boyle film, and you know, and that I'm just promoting that. You know, on Zoom film premieres around the world. That's what I'm doing at the moment.
It's amazing.
And then I've got a Sean Ryder album coming. I've got a Kyle Faulkner record.
Sean Ryder
coming.
Solo album.
Yeah, it's coming out in next month, at the end of next month. I've got a cast. I've got a John Power single coming.
John Power's from brilliant.
Yeah,
great band.
Yeah. I managed John, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
He was in the Lars when he started off as the bass player.
Yeah, was it? But I suppose the biggest real problem any have got is just this COVID thing, and you know what I mean. You done well, mate, to not get fucking. You know what I mean? To not get too ill with it.
I did, man. I got the fucking pneumonia. I was banging trouble when he fucking.
Oh God!
I was banging it. So when my voice ain't come back, I'm feeling better. I'm gonna start doing walks again next week and build myself up and that, you know, mate. But
are you still snotty and stuff like that?
No, I'm not even. Not really. In the morning, I cough up a little bit, but I'm all right. I'm getting there. It's just weak. The weakness is. It takes a while to get the weakness out of me, but it's going. Like last couple of days.
But you've done well to fuck it off, mate.
Mate, I tell you, I know what it's fucking scared the life out of me at one point, and I don't. People shouldn't underestimate it because some people get it and get a cold and headache and that's it. But if it gets hold of you, then fuck me. You got to be careful. But what we was talking about as it goes now. When I met you, you was with Sean, and we were talking about how the industry's changed from record labels. You don't need labels so much no more. It's more about PR. Would you say that's the way the industry's changed now, Al? From
the whole thing's changed, man. It's like, do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like people barely phone each other up now. They just fucking text. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, we're doing interviews on fucking Zoom, and it's just like it's all. Like, I'm not against that. You can do a lot more, and there's some of the things like the Zoom thing. It's just very convenient, and for a meeting.
Yeah, at the moment, I think it is convenient, but everything's going this way. And like people go to me, kids play too much computer, you could get them off the computers, and I think, do you know what, mate? You got to be careful because it's just fucking evolution. Like one day what's going to happen is the sun's going to hit the planet. We can't live here. The radiation is going to get too high. We're going to have to go into space at some point. I believe it'll happen 1,000 years. I don't fucking know, but I think all this stuff is just evolution going on. Like every generation. If you look at Elvis, wouldn't it? He moved his hips, and the fucking all the Christians were burning his records, and he was a sexual beast. And now Eminem's rapping about raping his own fucking mum. So it just shows you how things change and how dads are going. The kids on his computers, but I just think it's the way.
But I think the thing is, what we're talking about bands is like bands are like steam trains. We all like a steam train. We all like a band. But at the end of the day, you can just get your laptop. I mean, I'm talking about as if you were a young musician. Spend 5 years making a record on your laptop, make an impeccable sounding record and put it out. You don't really need other people to do it.
No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, digital. The quality of sound can be anywhere, can't it? Now that's the difference between old analog. The digital's digital. So no matter what device you got it on, it's going to have the same quality. So, out of all your looking for the years like you've been through in the industry, I mean, what did you was there any a lot of any mental health issues did you find through these young bands getting into it too quick? Was there a lot of any anxiety, depression, or was it more?
Before I had that, I've had that shit going on my whole life. It's just I think that's the drink and the drug thing for a lot of people, isn't it? You know what I mean? They just,
Do you know what?
they get fucking, they let it go. I mean, there was, because nobody, you come out, you're trying to what? You're trying to do your thing, and you've not had any mechanism for dealing with fucking rotten shit that's going on. And you drink and you take drugs. And I'm old now, I'm sober. I'm really okay now, you know what I mean? I really am. But it took me a long time, man, to get to a place that was all right, you know?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest enemies ourselves, they say, didn't they? You know, but it's good. You're looking really well. You're looking good.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Buddy.
I lost 40 pounds, you know?
Yeah, I see when I see you on that, for fucking hell, he's done some weight. Looks really, really well, man.
Yeah.
Made you look younger, Al. You look like you took years off yourself, man.
I know, well, I'm fucking 60, I'm old, man.
There you go, 200, mate, rock and roll fucking legend. But Al, I really appreciate you taking your time.
No problem, man. Send me a link and I'll post it for you.
I'll send it over definitely. My pal's going to be fucking gutted that I would love. I mean, loving this one. We've got hold of Alan McGee. They're going to fucking love it.
All right, mate.
Mate, it's been such a pleasure having you on, mate.
All right. And, all right. See you, mate. All right. Bye.
I'll send you the bits over. Take care, Al. Thank you very much.
Bye, man.
Bye,
all right. Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much for tuning into MindKite. That was Alan McGee, you know, the guy that discovered Oasis, you know, put that band on the map. And from that band, there's been a million other little bands who sort of followed in their footsteps. So thank you, Mr. Alan McGee. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And we'll see you next week on the MindKite podcast.